Boys and girls, I have two stories for you today. One is real, one is pretend, but they're both about some kind of transportation. How are these things getting from one place to another? What kind of transportation do you see? Do you see that they're both about what? Yup, trains. They're both about trains. One is real, one is pretend. Let's start with this one. This one just says trains. It's written by Matt Doden. He wrote the words, so he's called the what? Yep, he's called the author. But look, nobody drew these pictures. These pictures were taken with a camera. Yeah, what is that person called who takes pictures with a camera? A photographer. You're right. Gail Saunders Smith is the photographer in this story. Trains. There it is again. Trains. Oh, who remembers what this page is called? It's called the Table of Contents. It tells us where to find different information in this story. So if I wanted to find out what the parts of trains were, I would look on page 6. And if I would like to know the different kinds of trains, I would look on page 14. But I want to know everything about trains, so I'm going to read all of the pages. We haven't seen a table of contents in a while. That gives us a clue, though. There's photographs, not an illustrator, and there's a table of contents. Real or pretend? I heard you say real. Trains. A train is a long line of railroad cars all hooked together. Trains move on tracks, and the tracks are on the land. We read stories about boats, and those were on the water, but trains go on land. Sometimes they go over water, though. Over a bridge. Parts of trains. Trains have wheels that fit over the railroad tracks. Railroad tracks are long steel lines. Very strong metal. Locomotives pull trains like that. The train's engine sits inside of the locomotive. So that big engine is in here. It's pulling all of those trains. I wonder if that train is pulling passengers, people, or if it's pulling cargo, which is the stuff that we need to build and use. Railroad cars make up the longest part of the train. Freight cars carry goods. Passenger cars carry people. Well, that doesn't look like people. That looks like cargo. It's a freight engine. Choo-choo! Trains have loud whistles. Whistles warn people that a train is coming. Because which would be stronger, a train or a car? So cars better watch out for trains, right? There's the railroad crossing sign. That helps people too. Besides seeing, they can hear the train whistle. And then sometimes the bar goes down to block them. Kinds of trains. Commuter trains carry people on short trips. Subway trains run underneath the city streets. We have some in Buffalo, but there are a lot of subways in New York City. Passenger trains carry people for thousands of miles. Instead of going on an airplane, some people would rather ride on a train. People can eat and sleep on those trains. Freight trains carry coal, grain, and other goods all the way across the country, dropping those things off at each city. Mighty machines. Trains roll through tunnels and under bridges. They even go over bridges. Trains are mighty machines. And in the back, there's the glossary. That's like a dictionary. It tells us what everything means. A freight train is a train that carries goods or cargo. Goods are items that people buy and use. Freight trains carry goods such as car parts, toys, and food. A locomotive is the railroad car that holds the engine to pull the train. A subway train is a kind of train that runs under the ground. Hey, subway, submarine. Hey, we know about that. Submarine goes under, way under the water. Sub must mean under. A track is a set of rails for trains to run on. They bump you when you're in the car and you go over the railroad track. Bump, 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 bump. A tunnel is a passage made under the ground or through a mountain for use by trains and cars. And the whistle. Woo-hoo! An object that makes a high, loud sound. Cars and trucks should not cross railroad tracks when a train is blowing its whistle. Real or pretend? Did that tell us something about trains, or was it a pretend story about trains? What was it? Yeah, it is real. What's Mrs. Casamasa's library word for a real book? A story about something that's real. I think I heard somebody say it. Did you say nonfiction? It is not fake, so it is real. It is nonfiction. So that story's nonfiction. So that must mean that this story is fiction. How can you tell though? Can you tell just by the cover?